What's up, family? What's up, family? What's up, family? Jamil Frazier here in the house, founder of You See It, Think Life is Different. And today I want to talk to you about the secret that nobody is talking about. Um, and then I want to break down for you three examples of how this is happening. So, did you know 76% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, even those, many of those that are making six figures? And this is one of the things that, not too many people are talking about. 76% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And the crazy part is that includes people making over $100,000 a year. 76%. So if I got 10 adults all standing in a row, more than seven of them are living paycheck to paycheck. Now, this isn't necessarily, I'm going to break down for you why this happens. I'm going to break down for you two conversations that I had today, one that I had last week. I'm going to explain to you how much household income these folks have. I'm going to explain to you why this continues to happen. I'm going to explain how to break out of it as well. And I'm going to explain why people don't really talk about it. But we've been sold a lie. We've been hoodwinked. We've been bamboozled. We have been run amok. And the lie is that more income means more freedom. And that is not necessarily what we see. It's not what I see. Obviously, as a founder of Think Life is Different, why I created this company is because I've spent over a decade mentoring, coaching, developing entrepreneurs. And we have helped these people scale businesses that are doing $20,000 a month, $50,000 a month, $100,000 a month, $1 million a month. Think about it, over $1 million of revenue flowing in through these businesses, over $200,000 of income that's coming into these entrepreneurs' pockets, over a $500,000 coming into these entrepreneurs' pockets. And guess what kept happening over and over and over again? They spent everything that they had. And so more money does not equate to more wealth. It just doesn't. And this is why I created the company, so that we can go out, partner, and help people and show them not only financial literacy, not only how to build and scale businesses, not only how to build and scale portfolios, but the mindset that comes with it. Why do you think my company is called Think Life is Different? Because it does all come down to your thinking and your thought process. And you guys, I just keep it real, man. Especially when I come live like this, I got to keep it real. I can't baby you. Even on some of my calls that I had this morning, obviously, I say things like, is it okay if I speak? Is it okay if I speak plainly? If you ever hear me say that, it's okay if I speak plainly, what you need to know is directly after you give me the yes, I am going to I'm going to be very, very straight with you. I'm going to be very frank with you. Listen to this. So we've been sold a lie. That's more income means more freedom. But the truth is, most people are trapped, stuck in the cycle of spending, debt, and survival mode. Listen to some of these stats. Here's the key finding. This is from a source, Lending Club and Payments.com 2024 report based on surveys of over 4,000 adults. Here's the key findings. 76% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Many of them earn six figures. Among those earning $100,000 or more per year, nearly 60% of them still live paycheck to paycheck. Only 23% say they feel financially secure. And the number one cause cited is rising cost of living. That is not the, listen to me. That, you see this little vein coming in my neck? They cite, this is what's wrong with people. This is what drives me crazy with people. They cite the number one reason is that they're living paycheck to paycheck is rising cost of living. I do this for a living. That is not the number one reason. You know what the number one reason is? Poor habits and poor choices. That's the number one reason. There's something about the human being that it we just consume. Everywhere we go, we consume. We have to, the more we have access to, the more we consume that access. The more we have access to food, the more we eat. Americans eat more than anybody else. Why? It's the most developed country. The more we have access to goods and services, the more we consume. The more I have access to closet space, the more I buy. Do you know that when we are helping entrepreneurs in all areas of their money, one of the first things I ask these people is, what size is your closet? Some people will have closets that are super small. Some will have, it's like the bears, right? The golden bears. Some will have closets that are medium size. Some will have closets that are, they're huge, right? They're absolutely huge. Do you know that no matter what size closet is, they have figured out a way to buy enough crap to fill up that closet space? Doesn't matter if it's a small closet, it doesn't matter if it's a medium-sized closet, it doesn't matter if it's a huge closet. Same thing with houses. I grew up for 20 years on welfare. Anybody else, like, people speak to me these days as if I don't know what it's like to be on government assistance. I lived my half of my life on government assistance, almost half my life. I'm 44 now. I pretty much came off of government assistance, probably like fully off, probably when I was like 22 years old. So nearly half of my life has been on some sort of government assistance. I feel like I was born on welfare, on food stamps, which they don't call food stamps anymore, they call SNAP, right? So all of my food came from food stamps. My housing came from Section 8. Our monthly income came from the federal and state government. Okay. This is like for 2 decades. And it doesn't matter. I've lived in a really poor neighborhood. I've lived in a middle class neighborhood. I've lived in a rich neighborhood, right? And it doesn't matter the size of the house, and it doesn't even matter the monthly income. If you go into a house, you walk into that house, a small house, a medium-sized house, a big house. Now, I've lived in 700 square feet and less. I've lived in, the first house I bought was 1,600 square feet. And the next house I bought that I lived in was like 8,000 feet total, 7,000 feet total. Those are all different size houses. In every single home, we will fill up that house to its maximum capacity. We like to buy shit. I mean, we love consuming. We cannot wait. Once we have money, it is gone before we even have it. The number one reason is not the rising cost of living. It's not inflation. The number one reason is this: emotional mismanagement. We like to buy stuff to cover up emotions or to feel emotions or to add on to emotions or to elevate emotions or to suppress emotions. And the more that we go along, the more we try to do something with these emotions. I'm trying to elevate them, I'm trying to suppress them, I'm trying to add on to them. I want to feel a certain way. And what happens here cognitively is this: we have thoughts that take place, right? So there are things that are out there in our lives, let's call them stimuli. And from these stimulus, we have thoughts that take place. Okay. Now, immediately when we have these thoughts, they are going to lead to an emotion. This is why we get happy. This is why we get sad. This is why we have visceral feelings. This is why we have road rage. Somebody cuts us off on the freeway. It triggers a thought. That thought immediately triggers an emotion. Okay. Now, this emotion is going to lead to an action. We're either going to do something, or inaction is a form of action as well. Okay. So I'm either going to do something, the action's going to follow. I'm going to have a trigger, a stimulus. My boss yells at me. My thought is, woe is me. I'm a victim, which the victim mentality that is happening in our society these days is absolutely astounding. It is crazy. It doesn't help. Like, that's the thing. I'm not even gonna go off on that tangent. But so my boss yells at me, it triggers a thought, oh, woe is me. Why is this always happening to me? Why do they always yell at me? How come they're not treating me like the other people? It triggers a thought. Boom. This thought is going to trigger an emotion. I feel sad. Now, this sadness is going to lead to an action. I'm going to shut down, or I might run through a wall, right? Or I might cry, or I might do something to now help me with this emotion. I might eat, I might drink, I might smoke something, I might shoot something up in my arm, I might watch some pornography. I'm going to do something, or I may not do something. Inaction is still a form of action. Now, when I do this action, human beings, we operate off of patterns. Okay. This is why you could drive from your house to work and get to work and be like, bro, I don't even remember that. How did I arrive here? Like, I don't even remember getting on the freeway, because you operate off of patterns. We have to have patterns. Social media knows this, that we have to have patterns. This is why it gives us certain algorithms, because we have patterns. You go on your YouTube right now, you're going to get fed a certain type of video, because we operate off of patterns. This is how we are able to survive. It's just part of our biology and our survival instinct is we operate off of patterns. Something big, scary monster jumps off. I don't need to think about cognitively, is that a monster? Is that real? Is that fake? Nope. I just need a pattern. It's scary. I run. That's how we operate. Now, once we have these patterns create something called habits. And these habits are things that we just do. Being a victim and having a victim mentality is a habit, by the way. And it's habits that not only individuals pick up on, but it's habits that whole societies pick up on. This is a habit. Now, the crazy thing about a habit is it's really, really, really hard to break. It's hard to stop spending money on shit you don't need. It's hard to break that habit. It's hard to not feed your emotions with buying things that don't serve you. It's hard to have a big old closet and not fill it up to the brink. It's hard to, get your income boost from, you know, $80,000 a year to $100,000 a year and not increase your lifestyle. It's hard. It's very hard. Habits are one of the hardest things in the world to break. It's a great book, Atomic Habits. I got it back here somewhere. But you guys know I built a whole company, right? Like, helping people break habits. And most of them, they might break them for a little bit, but they usually go back to habits that don't serve them. It's just really hard to do. Now, here's the thing. Once you start to have habits, then those habits actually are going to form your reality. Let me say this again. Those habits, those habits of thinking, those habits of eating, those habits of watching pornography, those habits of buying, those habits of spending, those habits of gambling, those habits of addiction, those habits of drinking, those habits of shooting drugs up in your arms, those habits of That is what creates your reality. Now, if we peel back the onions and we say, why are 76% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, especially those households that are making over $100,000 a year of income? Do you know how much globally $100,000 a year of household income is? That immediately puts you in the top 10% of billions of people. Let me just say this again. It immediately puts you in the top 10% of billions of people. That is a lot of money. So, how is it that even for those people, 60% of them, 6 out of 10 adults, are still living paycheck to paycheck? It's because they have terrible habits. It's not because of the rise of inflation. It comes down to emotional mismanagement. They have not learned how to control their emotions. You know, one of the things when we bring people into any of our programs, immediately my goal is to get them to. It really is. It's investing program. I know that investing is how you start to scale wealth the quickest. I was never taught that. I had to learn it on my own. And then once I took the risk and I started being disciplined with investing, I started to see like, oh my God, I didn't do anything for that. But you mean like I made more doing that just from investing than I did for a whole year's worth of work. And then it started feeding me a new philosophy like, bro, it isn't about how hard you work. It is about how hard you get your money to work. Like it just it like I used to think that it was about how hard you worked. Like uh, 10 years ago, my belief was that I need to earn more money and I needed to work harder. 10 years later, that is not my belief anymore. Here's my belief that it's what you do with the money that you have and it's how hard you put that money to work. Completely different. Like, so I'm watching this. I'm literally watching this from my own accounts. And I started to realize that, like, oh, wow, the way you really start scaling isn't from buying depreciating assets. It isn't from stocking the closet with a whole bunch of crap that you don't need. It isn't like I go into your closet and there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 pairs of shoes? What do you need 20 pairs of shoes for? I go in and I see one blouse, two blouse, three blouse, four blouse, five blouse, six blouse. Why do we need all those blouses? I see this jacket, I see this jacket, I see this jacket. I see these Jordans. What? I see these horses. Let me tell you about. So last week, I a woman was referred to me. Her and her husband have a business, and this business does about 100. And before I talk to people on here, um, like their financials are usually sent to me. So I was looking at her. I was looking at her financials before we got on, and it said the business income was like $170,000 a month. And then part of it says, well, what's your monthly expenses? And the monthly expenses were $170,000 a month. A month, a month, a month. Do you think they're living paycheck to paycheck because of inflation? No, they're living paycheck to paycheck. They have no savings. They're using the business like a personal ATM, which is a no no. They have no retirement, and their credit score just absolutely collapsed. Do you want to know why their credit score collapsed? Because over the past couple of years, their business has been doing pretty darn well, better than it's ever done before. They got excited about it. Say, "Oh my gosh, this is new money." So they decided to go buy a $2.5 million property. Nothing wrong with it, but they couldn't sell their current house. So they were covering two different mortgages at the same time, and they didn't have the money for it. Why didn't they have the money for it? Because they never freaking planned for a rainy day. This is delusion. Like, and I know that people don't like to be held accountable. That's very, very clear. And people don't like for other people to be held accountable either. Like, one of the hardest things is for me to look at myself and say, "Bro, you're stupid and you're doing dumb things." That's very hard to do, like, for me to do for myself. It's very hard for human beings to look at ourselves and say, "Why do you keep screwing up?" And it's hard because of something called cognitive dissonance. It is very hard for us to be honest with ourselves. Now, it's also very hard for us to hold other people responsible for their actions, their habits, and their decision making process. This is why you have so many victim warriors that are out there. Okay, it's just hard to do. And so when their credit score tanked because they couldn't keep up with both of these crazy um, mortgage payments, when I'm on the phone with them, guess what both of them said? Oh, you know what? We're not really that concerned with our credit. And this is the wife. Wives are so funny to me a lot of times. This is the wife. So she goes, I know that our credit scores tank, but it's not that big of a deal. That's cognitive dissonance. She says, I know we don't have any retirement, but we're not really concerned about retirement because we have our business and we have our real estate. And in my mind, I'm like, this is delusion. Because if you're just new to business and your business doing well, then you might have the false pretense of thinking it's always going to do that well. But my friend, it wasn't that long ago that Sears Company was the number one company in the United States. Now you drive around, you can't even find a Sears. Why? Because markets change all the time. So to be that damn naive to think that, and hey, pray, I hope to God that the business does keep doing well. I hope so, but it may not. And to not prepare yourself for a rainy day is just stupid. It's dumb. And you're living in delusion because you think that it's always going to be good. It's just always going to be good times. My health is always going to be good. The business is always going to be good. My marriage is always going to be good. My faith is always going to be good. And unless you're just not that bright or you're living in delusion and you're not planning for, here's life. Life is opportunity mixed with difficulty. I've only been here for 44 years, but I've seen some crazy stuff in my lifetime. My life has literally been on the intersection of so many different places. It's been on the intersection of living very, very poor in poverty and building wealth. It's been on the intersection of my uncle was a blood, my cousins were Crips. I've been on the intersections of education. I've been on the intersection of, you name it, I've been on the intersection of it. And to think that things just always are going to go good, you have to either be stupid or delusional and not plan for when things aren't going to be great. Like I don't know how else to say it. And so what's happening here is cognitive dissonance is setting in that, oh, you know what? We don't really even care about the retirement because we have the business. And especially in the business that they're running, that business may not even be here in 5 years for one thing and one thing only. And that thing is called artificial intelligence, AI. Their whole business and livelihood might get stripped away in the next 3 to 7 years. And they've done nothing. They've done nothing. If that business goes away, they're not going to be able to keep all that real estate. She's just buying horses. just buying horses. For what? It's like buying clothes for no reason. Why do we need because we're trying to fulfill something in here. Maybe when she was 5 years old, she wanted a horse and parents couldn't afford to get her a horse. So now we're just buying horses as if we're gonna race them in a Del Mar racetrack or something. We don't need all those damn horses. Are we making any money from those horses? No. So you're just like planning to bring on more liabilities into your life then. More liabilities is absolutely crazy. Her husband couldn't care less, fell asleep on the phone with me. And I'm like, "Brother, um, you maybe can't see it, but you guys are in trouble. You're just in trouble at a higher level. You're in trouble at $170,000 a month level. And their business, they're using their business for all of the personal, nothing's separated. IRS comes knocking. Uncle Sam says, "Hey, what are these? What are these charges? What's happening here?" It's not going to be a good situation. But they're in a state right now to where it's just delusion. Today I got on the phone with a friend, and their household income is about $10,000 a month. They're actually doing pretty good. Their expenses are about $8,000 a month. They're doing the best that they can in terms of like investing. They're doing the best that they can in terms of from like what they know. Hey, more power to you. I actually was super proud of her. I kept saying, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. The problem is for her, not for me, I don't care what you do. But the problem is for her is her quality of life is being wasted away because she's at a job that she doesn't want to be at. And she wants to spend more time with her babies. She wants to spend more time away from the workspace. And quite honestly, it feels like she knows that she can go out and do on her own what she's doing from her employer. Now, at the beginning of the call, it is so clear that she's at a crossroad. At the end of a call, it was clear that she was going to have to make an investment if she wanted to move away from her current reality and step into the freedoms that she wants. Now, when it came time for her to make an investment, she got scared. Okay. She got scared. And when she got scared, guess what set in? Cognitive dissonance. Well, it's not that big of a deal. I guess you know what? This job actually is not that bad. I guess the fact that I never have time freedom is, you know what? I can just put up with it. And I'm sitting back and I'm watching this unfold and I'm just thinking human beings we are amazing. We're amazing. We're amazing in how we is so much of it is biological and so much of it is we don't even know that it's happening until it happens. Um, third person I had a chance to talk to, same thing. They together make about $12,000 a month and they spend $12,000 a month. By the way, every single person I told you about right now, what I haven't said was the debt that they're in. So even my friend who had a household income of about $10,000 a month, but they spent about $8,000 a month, they had about $14,000 of debt. The first woman I told you about with all the horses, they had about $200,000 of debt. This third person I'm about to tell you about that makes about $12,000 a month, spends $12,000 a month, also is in about $80,000 of debt. So not only are we living paycheck to paycheck, but we're doing it with incurring more and more debt. This debt is destruction. It is like the freaking what is the thing that they use to kryptonite? It's like kryptonite to building wealth. It is like kryptonite to building wealth. And people can't stay out of debt. Want to know why people can't stay out of debt? It goes back to what I was talking about, because we're consumers. We can't stay out of debt because we can't bring ourselves to the place to where we say, I don't need that. And we can't bring ourselves to that because we're constantly trying to feel something. Let me tell you a story. I was building my business, and I had no financial literacy. It was never taught to me. It's not taught to most people. As you can tell, I'm trying to tell you stories of it's not just people who are making less. This goes on for every single level. It's just at higher levels, right? So I'm building my business. This had to be around 2014. And I still wasn't really making like the revenues, like my business was probably doing maybe like, I don't know, man, like $200,000 a month in revenue, but I was only putting maybe like $10,000 of income into my pockets, which at the time was enough. I just didn't know. I was like everybody else that I'm talking about right now, right? So um, I read a book called The Millionaire Next Door by Tom Stanley and some of his associates. And one of the things that I found in that book was that the majority of millionaires don't actually look like you think that they would look. And so after I'm reading study after study after study after study, and I learned a principle called the Pareto principle. And the Pareto principle essentially says that um, 80%, it's like the 80-20 rule. So if I have, since we've been talking about closets, if I go into my closet, 80% of the clothes that's in my closet I don't wear, and 20% of the clothes I do wear. So what they were doing was challenging me to just get rid of 80%. And then I started looking at it as my business, and I said, okay, 80% of the partners and business associates we have are going to are going to basically not do very much. And the 20% of those people are going to be the most important people that work in my organization. So if the 20% of the people that's in my organization are going to bring 80% of the revenue, then I should obviously focus on the 20%, right? So the same thing with everything else in our lives. If I got 10 pairs of shoes there, 80% of the shoes, I'm basically not going to wear that much. 20% of the shoes, I'm going to wear way more than the other 80%. So what does that tell you? Get rid of the damn excess. It's hard for us to do that because we have to keep up with our idea of what reality is asking for us. I have to keep up with the idea of what culture wants from me. I have to keep up with the idea of what this community wants from me. I have to keep up with the idea of what my neighbors want from me. I have to keep up with the idea of what my wife wants from me, or her or my family wants from me, or I have to keep up with an idea of what my friends from me. I told you this is all mindset stuff. So after I read this book, I was like, bro, part of the problem in my life is I've cared way too much about what other people think about me. And so I went into this year and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to like I used to like take 2 showers a day, like I clean shaven, haircuts all the time, fresh cologne, like it was like all these things. It was really important for me. And so I go, I need to break this habit of what people think about me because I'm doing things and I'm buying things based off of my desire to want to fit in. And I need to break this. And so I said, Basically, I'm not going to shower, I'm not gonna shave, I'm not gonna cut my hair until I'm okay with me just being me. I don't have to impress myself, and I don't have to impress other people. And I went like 6 months, and and something happened in, like, that 5th or 6th month that really proved to me that, "You know what, bro? You're good." Like, you've rid yourself of that necessity, of that need, of that want, of that desire to fit in. And now if I do something, it's because I truly want to, not because I have a desire and an expectation of fitting in. And so anyways, like, that was my whole moniker, but I had to do something to really break that emotional tie to why am I over consuming in all of these areas of my life? And that's what we see. So they can cite whatever they want to cite. That is not the issues. They said most people have less than $500 in savings for emergency, and credit card debt is at an all-time high, over 1.3 trillion in 2024. You guys, this is the secret that not too many people are talking about. What else do they have here? Yeah. So here's what I would encourage. Here's what I would encourage people to do. I definitely would seek out mentorship. She said, "No, not the showering. It's true. Like what something drastic has to happen. Would you agree? Like something drastic. Here's the thing. If if you're listening to this or watching this right now, you know who you are. You know who you are. If you at every single month, this is something that's a reality for you, stop being delusional. You know who you are. And unless you just like don't care or you were so deep in the cognitive dissonance, like do whatever you want. But if this is something that you want to get better with, then drastic changes require drastic measures. Like we got to do something. We have to do something. And this is what I was telling to the woman who bought all those damn horses, and I was like, "Look, your husband, he's asleep now. Can I speak to you? May I speak to you plainly?" And she said, "Yes." And I told you guys, if I tell someone, "Can I speak to you plainly?" then you know you got to brace for what's about to come. Okay? So I had to tell her like you're broke and you're just masking it as if you're not. But the minute something happens to this business, you're broke. You're not going to be able to last more than a month or two. You're hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. You redline every single month. You barely have any savings. In her case, she had no savings. You have no equities at all. If they come and take your house, you have nothing to fall back on. You are broke. But you're running around here because you have monthly cash flow coming in either out of a paycheck or from a business, and you think you actually are in a better position than you are. You are not. You are broke, 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 broke. And until you face these facts, you can keep having your head in the sand like an ostrich, pretending like you have more than you do, but you are broke. And until you be honest with yourself, like going to AA and saying, "I am an alcoholic," this isn't gonna change. So I had to do something drastic to have a drastically different outcome. And listen, it's easier to play victim. It's easier to make excuses. I get it. I lived up on victim culture and excuse making culture. I get it. Some of our benefits didn't come in. I remember this. Whenever the state of California would lower our benefits, the predominant language that I would hear is, "How am I supposed to survive when you're lowering my benefits?" Think about this. How am I supposed to survive if you're lowering my benefits? How am I supposed to get by if you're lowering my benefits? It is easier to live in a world of delusion than it is to face the facts. And this is why we're allergic to it. This is why we keep going week after week, month after month, year after year in the same damn states in delusion. And then when something happens, right, I get a heart attack and I say, bro, what the hell were you doing for the last 20 years? Society don't like that. What they want to say is, how come he didn't have better medical insurance? What is going wrong with our politics? How come he doesn't have better coverage? And what I'm going to say is, what the hell was he doing for the last 30 years? What was he doing for the last 10 years? They'll say, oh, it was malpractice. Malpractice? What was he doing there in the first place? But we don't like that because it's easier to find other people or systems to put the blame on than to look at ourselves and say, how the hell have you gone 20 years without having an emergency fund? How's that possible? How have you gone 50 years and ain't invested a dime? My 2-year-old has investments. How's that? How's that possible? And until we get there with ourselves, it ain't going to change. And the longer we have other people placating us, it definitely is not going to change because we're not going to see that it's a problem. So I would get focused, I would get honest, I would find some mentorship and some coaching, and I would decide that if I'm that I don't want to do this anymore. And we will help you, but you got to be at a place to where you want to help yourself. And if you don't want to, this is what I was telling my friend earlier, if you don't want to invest in that, then you're not every really successful person that I know have taken a risk to be successful. They have risked something to be successful. Even if they have great bodies, they have risked something to be successful. And if you're not willing to take those risks, you don't want to be successful in that area. And it'd be more helpful for society, if for yourself, to just be honest with that and just say, I stop pretending like you want it and just be honest and say, it ain't really that important to me. 76% of Americans live paycheck to paychecks. Those are the numbers.